King Kong escapes. Despite being made by Toho, it is not actually related to King Kong vs. Godzilla. It's actually an adaptation of the King Kong cartoon by Rankin Bass that I have not seen. But yes, it is Rankin Bass, like the stop motion guys, who apparently did help work on this film. The film begins in a submarine in the Java Sea, commanded by Carl Nelson, and they're looking for Kong. The other crew members just think they're a legend because, again, this is not connected to King Kong vs. Godzilla. Meanwhile, in the Arctic, we see Mechani Kong. Seriously. And this is actually predating Mechagodzilla. Despite the other group looking for King Kong, this group already knows he exists and made a robot inspired by him. Created by Doctor Who. Seriously, like Doctor Who, like, you know.
Ooh, like, hello, who is it?
Joke, because I just don't.
Hard to tell. Sometimes I just laugh after he talks, so leave me alone.
Seriously, am I the only one who knows the extremely popular BBC science fiction show about the time-traveling doctor?
The one where she goes to the Wild West. The Cheyenne called her medicine woman.
No, that's Dr. Quinn.
Who's Dr. Quinn?
I most certainly am not.
So Doctor Who wants to use this government giant gorilla to drill for Element X, but Miss Piranha thinks this is stupid. But Element X is really valuable and awesome and stuff. You can create anything with it, like weapons. And she's like, fine, so they fire up Mechanicon, and he's got some like old-timey cannons, which are actually grenades, which he drops down, and he hops down with it. So I guess they really didn't even need to make it a giant mechanical gorilla, especially since they didn't intend for it to fight King Kong, but it still looks cool, so shut up. Mechanicon uses his strength and a strobe light, and he finds some sulfuric acid or whatever, and it fries his system because of the nuclear radiation. Miss Piranha's like, yeah, this was stupid all along. But Doctor Who's like, come on, please, we can do it again. Back with the other group, their submarine gets damaged, and they go topside. Oh yeah, the others are Jiro and Susan. So they hop into their toy that can fly and head off to the island. One of the natives tries telling them to get away, but there's a language barrier, so the men go and investigate, and the woman stays behind at the car. She gets attacked by a dinosaur. A Gorosaurus, which we'll later see and destroy all monsters. And this alerts King Kong. He looks 1,000 times better than he did in King Kong vs. Godzilla, with a bigger, better designed head that's a little more cartoony. He plays with Susan on a blue screen for a bit, but then they have to recreate the original King Kong by fighting a giant dinosaur thing. Gorosaurus somehow jumps in the air and kicks Kong like a kangaroo. He flies back, but he saves it. I guess Gorosaurus might be related to a kangaroo, because this is like his main move. But then Kong just beats him into the ground. Yeah. So he goes back to admiring Susan. Oh no, round 2 as Gorosaurus bites his leg. So you gotta sit down to Susan for a second. And she finds the guys and they get out of there, as Kong does his finishing move on a Gorosaurus, with foam and all. But then the humans are attacked by a sea serpent. Well, luckily Kong deals with that and starts shaking the boat because he's in a bathtub. Susan pops up to say, hey, stop that. But he just picks up her, so she jumps into the water. But Kong picks her up, puts her back in the boat, and says, sorry, he knows his boundaries. So they live to tell the tale of what happened on Mondo Island, not Faroe Island or even Skull Island. I guess Kong loves to travel. Miss Piranha is there in disguise. She asks about Kong and a little bit of sexism later. Turns out she's still in contact with Doctor Who, and they want Kong because he's a mammal. She questions if he can withstand the radiation, and Doctor Who is like, who cares? So they send in the helicopters to bomb the shit out of him. With sleeping gas. The native guy questions what they're doing here, so Doctor Who just shoots him like 3 times. Man, if Kong had a nickel for every time he's been airlifted, he had 3 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened thrice. So he's been captured as Carl Nelson and co. arrives on the island just too late. But they already know it was all because Doctor Who. They somehow retrieve Mechanicon, and Doctor Who comes up with a plan to kidnap the good guys, and then use a hypnotizing stained glass lamp to hypnotize Kong. And if that doesn't work, they're going to shove some earbuds into Kong. They send him down, and it's working at first, but the radiation snaps him out of the trance. And then he, well, escapes. Like the title. Who tells the good guys that he's going to sell X to the highest bidder, And Carl Nelson ethnic checks Piranha. And Doctor Who's like, none of those, you racist. We don't actually figure out what nationality she is, so she's probably Mexican, I don't know. Nelson gets taken away, and Doctor Who lies that he's been killed. Khan makes it to the surface, and he runs away. Mechani Khan's chasing after. Meanwhile, Piranha is okay with Kent Nelson and frees him. And then the others. Back with Khan, he's made it to the city, so roll out the toys. But delay that order as they're flashing him in the eye. Dang, man, we don't get to see King Kong crushing some toys? What the hell, man? Come on, man. Khan plays with Susan for a bit, but then Mechani Khan arrives. And he's got high beams, and also a hypnotizing beam on his head. So Nelson just shoots it on the ground, that's a damn good shot. And Khan continues his fight, but bright lights is his weakness, I guess. As they brawl. But then Doctor Who tells Mechani Khan to get the girl, and escape. So he grabs Susan and climbs Tokyo Tower, saying that he wants Khan or she's getting dropped. But then Piranha turns on Who. Then Khan climbs the Tokyo Tower, and it's actually a fun fight seeing them swing between them and fight for Susan. As Jiro saves her, oh no, Piranha gets taken out. But luckily Mechani Khan falls and shatters like glass. And the next day, Khan gets his revenge by smashing the boat with Who inside, and he gets crushed and drowned. Happy ending as Khan sails off into the sunset. This is an okay film. The humans are okay, but the film actually knows what's going on and takes them to the sideline, as we do get a lot of the gorillas. In the end, Tokyo Tower fight scene is really cool. Mechani Khan looks a little silly, but I like the idea of it, and yeah, it inspired Mechagodzilla a few years later. Overall, it's an okay film, nothing super special about it, but I enjoyed it. 5.5 out of 10. Make sure to hit the like button, share with your friends, comment any of your thoughts and opinions, and subscribe if you're new.